Hello and good evening, everyone. It's Seth and Shawn again for QuickFastHurry.com and another exciting session of our rapid fire open Q&A, where we will field in real time questions regarding our Amazon business and our e-commerce business as a whole to those of you who join the webinar. The webinar will be recorded and it will be available immediately following the conclusion on our YouTube channel. Seth is feeling a little bit under the weather tonight, but he's going to hang out with us here because we have a lot of work to do afterwards, so hopefully we'll get him geared up for that. And we have a couple of special guests tonight that I'll be introducing to you too. Those of you who have received the email a couple hours ago where I asked to send questions, your questions are going to be answered first so you can get on about your business. For those of you who have questions to be answered, feel free to post those into the chat box below. Or if you want to ask your question live on the mic, then just raise your hand by clicking the hand button there. Before we jump into the first questions and Seth starts introducing himself, someone please type into the chat box that you hear us okay and that we're coming through. I assume you can hear me, right, Seth?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, sweet. All right, so sounds good. Thank you, Paul. All right, good deal. That's enough. So, Seth, go ahead and introduce yourself tonight. Say hello to everyone, and I'll jump into our first question.
Okay, yeah. So this is Seth Stevens again. Thanks for the introduction, Shawn. Just wanted to let you guys know that we have a Quick Fast Hurry Facebook group that you can do a search for and apply for membership. I'll reach out to you if you apply, and we can figure out if you can be a member. We just have kind of a minimum success threshold, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on in there. So go to Facebook and do a quick search for the group Quick Fast Hurry and apply now. But Shawn, go ahead on the first topic.
Now, I think, Seth, just to clarify there, that does not include membership to the private Facebook group. You're talking about only to the open public Facebook group, right?
Right. So the open public Facebook, well, it's not actually open to the public, and that's why I'm saying you still have to be accepted, but it is Quick Fast Hurry, and then our paid Facebook group is Quick Fast Hurry Insiders. So
cool. Well, I'm going to kick open my webcam right here to show you guys that I'm really here. Maybe Seth will do the same, and I'm sporting the QFH gear, buddy. So hello to my friend Dale Pollitt. Last time I seen you was September in China, my friend. Hope you and your brother, who's better looking than you and more handsome, of course, are doing well with your business. It's nice to see you here, and thanks for letting me know that you can hear us. So one of the first questions that we received in email, it's kind of funny because we're going to be covering this subject in a lot more detail for our members only session later on tonight, but was, and this was submitted, let me think here, so, submitted by Matt, who is actually on the call as well. And Matt asked me, Seth, how do you know, or how will he know when it's time to dump a product? You know, cut and run or whatever you want to call it, but how do we know, and what metrics are we measuring or taking a look at when we decide whether we're going to keep selling a particular product or not, Seth?
well, we like to look at it as far as profitability. So if you're not making any money, obviously it's not worth continuing. You should just get rid of it and move on. But if you're making money and you're not tying up too much capital, then you've already done all of the work of building the listing and securing the manufacturing and getting everything designed and in place. So we like to just let them run. We won't put a lot of effort into it if it's considered a product that we might dump, but if it's making money, you know, if it makes one sale per week, that's more than we would have had. So we'll just keep a low amount of stock in there, and we'll just let it run. Shawn, do you have any ideas for as far as a product that we actually want to get rid of?
Well, not off the top of my head, but you know, it's more often than not when I'm sitting talking to people one-on-one, like, you know, I think, hey, Gainer Green's in the house. How's it going, brother? My fellow Floridian, only he's on the cold side of Florida, up in the Panhandle. I think actually Gainer and I may have had this conversation recently in Mexico about, you know, letting a product ride or not. And like Seth said, once you've already done 90% of the work, you know, it's just a matter of reordering inventory. As long as the margins are still there and the product still makes sense for your business model, there's no sense to cut it just because it's not worth bragging about. I mean, a product that makes $10 a day profit still made more money than not having a product at all. So as long as it's not taking food off the table or causing you any headache, and it's just a matter of reordering inventory from an existing supplier, I say go for it and continue with it. If you'd like to elaborate on that just a little bit more, then feel free to post a question in the question box. But one of the things that people also ask on this subject is how to clear out stock that I have. Let's say if you decide to cut a product and move on, how are you going to get rid of the inventory? Well, there are a lot of answers to that question, but some of the things that we like to do is either bundle that with an existing product that you want to continue to sell to make your existing product more attractive, and get more conversions that way by creating a bundle, or even a buy one get one or a BOGO. If it's a very small amount of product you don't want to jack around with it, you can even donate that to a local charity, take the tax write-off. Talk to your accountant about that first, is my disclaimer there. Or Seth said, create a funnel for the deal and use the bad product to help build you a list of people that you can market to in the future. Now, of course, if the product costs $30, you're going to look at that differently than a product that only costs $2 or $3. So we use a hybrid of all these methods, and very rarely do we actually cut a product and never do anything with it again. It's the reason why I can't come up with an exact scenario. Now that I've been yapping about it, Seth, do you have an exact product scenario that you can think of that we've actually cut?
Yeah, I can think of one where it made sense to get rid of it because it was taking up oversized storage space, and Amazon is kind of picky about how many oversized storage spaces they'll give you. They're pretty liberal with the standard size for us, so we got rid of it just to clear space for other products that we wanted to move into.
Okay, yeah, good point. Also use deal sites like the ones you see listed here, slickdeals.net or Deals Plus, if you want to liquidate the inventory at a deep discount. These sites have been known in the past for us to move a lot of product in a small amount of time. So before we move on, if you have a question about that specific subject, go ahead and post it in the question box now, while I take up just a little bit of time here looking at the next question.
So yeah, especially with a product that you want to clear out, you can run a super deep discount, and those deal sites will normally react pretty strongly to a really good deal.
Yep, exactly. And no follow-up questions on that, Seth. So we're going to go ahead and move
Okay.
forward here. This question or series of questions came also from Mr. Matt Doing. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thanks for submitting that, Matt. Just
Just waiting on his voice to come back so he can hear us. Hey, Shawn.
1,000 per month in sales at 25% mark or profit. Seth.
Start over. We as soon as you change slides, we could only see your mouth moving.
Okay, cool. I think it's fun when that happens. So basically, what I started with the slide is that this was actually also submitted by Matt, and based on the way that the way he explains his question here with beer and candy money, I'm calling this slide fun coupons. So Matt, let me know. Did you see one of Seth and I's favorite movies, which is The Wolf of Wall Street? I'm assuming you did based on the way you wrote this, so just type in there yes or no. So he says, for two brothers doing this model and doing it full time, can you tell us, Seth, what a team might look like if our target is 80,000 per month at 25% net profit?
Um, well, if you're both doing it full time, then I think you guys can easily handle the workload. Uh, yeah, I don't think that you even need any VAs. If you want to grow past 80,000 a month and your long-term vision is to build a much bigger company, then yes, you would want to start to put VAs in place where there's not a lot of thinking. So any task that's replicable, you would want to train that VA so they could do it for you, so then you can put your time and effort into building a bigger business. I mean, if you can build a business that is 30% has 30% margins, now you'll have the extra capital to grow faster and invest in more VAs and everything else. So you want to be thinking about high level topics and get away from the mundane tasks that can be done by anyone pretty much. But yeah, that's funny about candy or beer and candy money.
I
I love
love it.
that.
So he actually answered. Matt says yes, that's his favorite movie. Go Matt. So the other thing is 20,000 per net profit. Yeah, I think he's got it. He's right on there. So thanks again for submitting that, Matt. And Mr. Paul, hello, Paul. Good to see you tonight. Hopefully, we'll see you later on too. He says 80,000 per month for one person, depending on the number of units. So, yeah, I guess that's correct. So it depends on how much you. If you're selling a dollar per unit, that's 80,000 units per month. It's going to take a hell of a lot more work than selling, what, 100 units at $80 per piece. So, or yeah, good point there, Paul. So thanks for pointing that out. Um, wow, I moved it. Fun coupons. The next one, ranking and review Armageddon. This is what my friend Jason Fladley likes to call this. So I figured I would just adopt the phrase, ranking and review Armageddon. So Seth, tell us real quickly how this has affected or not affected our business in general.
Well, it hasn't really affected our business at all. The way we have been doing things for the past year kind of insulated us from this Amazon policy change, and we really haven't been negatively affected. If anything, we have seen kind of a positive uptick from our competitors getting negatively affected because they just used fake reviews to boost up their businesses, and their business was kind of built on sand. So it kind of all went away in a hurry. But yeah, so we haven't really been affected, Sean.
I like the biblical deal there, build on sand. That's funny. You just threw that out there, didn't you? So yeah, a lot of people are really scrambling over this, especially when they first rolled it out. And for those of you out there who are rookies, don't be scared because all of the top shelf sellers that I know, some of the ones on this call as well, are not really affected by this because they're running their business correctly to begin with. So remember, folks, post the questions in the question box here, or when we run out of questions, this session's over, and then I'm on back to my day job, which is being a dad and trying to mentor Seth here, which is a full-time job. He's not a very fast learner, are you, buddy?
Nope.
All right, so this one comes from, let me go back to my notes here. Justin. Justin is concerned about product liability insurance, and thanks to our friend Shane Vandeventer. Did I do that right, Seth? He's actually on the call with us. Hello, good evening, Shane. Hopefully we'll see you later in the members only area. But he actually shared a resource with us for product liability, and this is the one we're recommending at this point, and this is the one that we're looking into as well. So for product liability, thank you, Shane. But talk to Lindsay Kramer at the Hartford. Here's your contact information there, and a couple of different choices you have there. And once again, this comes from my friend Shane. Thanks, Shane. So while you're writing that down, Bill. Hello, Bill Henninger. Long time no see. What was it, last weekend in Mexico? So he says, what is your target ACoS for Amazon sponsored ads, Seth?
We like to target our margin, our profit margin. So if your profit margin is 35%, I would get it around there. And just because we view sponsored ads as kind of a promotion tool, not really where you're going to make the bulk of your money. You're going to make more money by using it to rank your product over time and keeping that rank and then making all your money on your natural sales. So whatever your profit margin is, that's what I would aim for. Sean?
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, no follow up on that. I'm going to talk here in just a minute about a subject that is important to me, and I was actually discussing it with my attorney in this area recently, and she suggested that I should bring this up as a topic because most of the people on this call and the people that Seth and I network with out there, in e-commerce space are making pretty decent money. We all have a similar personality, similar likes and values. And one of the things that occurred to me early on, talking about product liability insurance, is a lot of people who are actually, sue happy, I guess is the word for it. And one of the biggest issues in the U.S., I mean, obviously there are a lot of issues, but thank God the election's over at this point. We don't have to worry about that. Is having choices of what to do, where to go if the proverbial shit hits the fan. Pardon the French, but that's what people call it. I'm not a prepper. I'm not a doomsday person or anything like that. But I read this very interesting book one time that was written by Neil Strauss. I recommend it if you're interested. It's called Emergency. This book may save your life. If anyone on the call here has read that book, say so, and we'll discuss it real quick. But when I read this book, it got me thinking about what would happen if I wanted to all of a sudden move out of the U.S. for whatever reason, personal or business or litigation or otherwise. Where would I go? What would I do? How would I get there? So I started doing some quick research on that, and it became very apparent to me pretty quickly that I needed to have choices. So I started looking into this thing called a second passport. What is a second passport? I know it sounds kind of sketchy and all that, but it's really not. Basically, what it is, there are certain countries out there, one of which being the Dominican Republic, which offer and recognize dual citizenship. So just ask yourself this question real quick. I know not everyone on this call right now is a U.S. citizen, but when have you ever read in the news about someone overseas blowing up a busload or a plane load full of Dominican residents? Never, right? Everyone loves Dominican people along with lots of other nice island nations in Central America and the Caribbean. So I started looking at the process of what that process would be for myself and my wife and children, my family, if to carry a second passport so that we have options for travel, options for business. And I'm putting this out on YouTube, guys, so don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about doing anything shady about hiding from taxes or anything like that. Everything I do overseas is completely above board, and my attorney, who's going to join us on the call here real quick, will tell you all about that. But I like to have choices of, where to do my business, where to earn my profit, where to travel, which passport to travel under if I don't want people follow me around knowing what I'm doing. And I'm not like a super private freak, but I'm one of those guys that, if I want my privacy, I want it now, and I don't want people to know what's going on, and I take it seriously. And Seth can attest to that. I don't send text messages. I don't use social media or anything like that because I don't want people knowing what I'm doing. So basically, I started looking at this, and when I was in Santo Domingo a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Maria about this, and she said, "Hey, I asked her if you don't mind, would you come on and talk to our audience just briefly about this phenomenon that's kind of going around the internet about second citizenships and passports?" And she said she would. So I'm going to introduce you to her while we have some more questions coming in. Thank you, Justin and Bill. And she's going to give you a quick thumbnail sketch about second citizenship or dual citizenship, what it's about, what it can mean to you. As far as for me, it's for asset protection. It's for protecting my liberties, being able to travel and have choices when it comes to doing so. So let me cue her up real quick, and then I'll bring on her presentation. So let me see here. Waiting on this. Oh, we have more questions coming in. This is awesome. All right. So without further ado, Miss Maria Abreu, can you hear me? Okay. I guess she's having mic problems. So hopefully she can figure that out. I just spoke to her briefly in the chat room or in the waiting room before we started the show, and she was there, so I know her system works. Hopefully she'll
Hello?
be able to figure it out real quick. Hey, Maria, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So I just gave a quick sketch or an outline of dual citizenship and passport. And what I want to do is introduce you while I queue up a few slides that you've prepared for us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. We have an audience of open-minded business people, mostly successful people, both past and present, who are probably interested at some time in the future about this subject. So if you would introduce yourself, tell a little bit about your agency, and in the meantime, I'll queue up your presentation. All right?
Absolutely. It is a pleasure to join you and to be here, and I'll be happy to explain a little bit about the advantages of Dominican residency. You guys can hear me okay?
Yes, you're coming through
Okay.
loud and clear, and I have your first slide up. So whenever you want me to cue the next slide, just go ahead and tell me, and I'll do that for you, Maria.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Dominican residency and the second passport, which is something that a lot of foreigners are they're interested in. We're going to be focusing a lot on what we call the fast track program, and I'll explain a little bit as to why. Fast track is basically residency. That's the quickest route to citizenship. In fact, the Dominican Republic has the shortest, for foreign investors, of course, the shortest program to citizenship currently in the world. okay? And we're going to explain a little bit about this. First of all, I'm going to give you an overview of residency, the types of residency. If you could get to the next slide, Shawn. Okay, we have provisional residency, which is basically, this is the most common form of residency in the Dominican Republic. It's not difficult to obtain this form of residency. You just have to show that you have some sort of passive income. Doesn't have to be any specific amount. And this form of residency is renewable every year. You maintain it for 4 consecutive years, and then on the 5th year, you can apply for permanent residency. Now, permanent residency under the ordinary track, meaning first you go through provisional and then you go through permanent, is renewable every 4 years. Now, 2 years after having held consecutive permanent residency under the ordinary track, you can apply for citizenship. Next slide.
You got it.
Okay. What we're going to focus on is the fast track residency. We call it fast track, first of all, because it's permanent residency that is processed through the investment department in immigration in the Dominican Republic. Okay? Now, this is the form of residency that most people are interested in. First of all, the advantage to this residency, which is processed through the investment department at immigration, means that you never come in as a permanent or temporary resident. From the visa, you come in and apply for permanent residency from the outset. Okay? And 6 months after being issued residency through this department, meaning through the fast track program, you can apply for citizenship. Now, to qualify for fast track residency, there are a couple of categories. First of all, you could come in as a retiree, and the requirement is to earn a minimum of $1,500 per month from retirement benefits, $1,750 per couple. Okay? Now, it's renewable after the first year and then every 2 years thereafter. The second category is as a foreign investor, which is probably what most of you come under. A foreign investor is considered a foreign national that has investments in their country of origin, call it a privately owned business, shareholder in a business, rental property, stocks, bonds, annuities, anything that you make passive income from. And the minimum is $2,000 per month from this foreign investment, and it has to be consecutive for the last 5 years. Okay? Here again, this is for the fast track program. Next slide. Now, finally, there's a domestic investor. The domestic investor is the foreign national that invests a minimum of $200,000 US into the Dominican Republic, be it by becoming a shareholder in a company for a minimum of $200,000, investing in a financial institution like a bank, a CD, with a minimum of $200,000 for 5 years, or the bond market, okay, for that same amount. Okay, so these 3 categories are what qualify a foreigner for the fast track program. Next slide. Okay, now a little bit about the residency process. In order to apply for residency, or residency is comprised of 2 steps. First, we have to obtain or process a visa via the Dominican consulate in the country of origin. A file is prepared and it is submitted to the Dominican consulate in the country of origin. Once the visa is approved and sealed onto the passport of the foreigner or the applicant, they will have 60 days to plan a short trip to the DR to complete the second part of the process at the immigration office. Now, the system in the Dominican Republic has, they've made it virtual, so most of the dealings are with the law firm or the attorney and immigration, so that trip is just going to basically involve a mandatory medical exam, which is no more than half an hour, sad to say. So you'll do a trip just for that, and on that trip, a complete file is deposited with immigration, and in approximately 60 days, 45 to 60 days, the residency process is complete, and the foreigner or the applicant can come to the country to pick up their residency card and their cedula, which is the state ID. Now, 6 months after those cards are issued, I repeat, 6 months after, you can apply for naturalization or citizenship, which leads to a second passport. Okay? This only applies to the fast track program. Okay? Okay, now for naturalization, there are different ways to qualify. We talked about those who've been permanent residents through the investment department for 6 months. Also, marriage to a Dominican. Those who are married to citizens will still have to go through a residency process, but not necessarily through the fast track program. Regardless of the category of residency they come under, whether temporary or fast track, within 6 months they can apply for naturalization. Also, child of a Dominican citizen. Now, this is of special interest because for those of you who apply for citizenship through the fast track program, okay, once you become citizens, your children are entitled to the same status without ever having to apply for residency. They're grandfathered in to naturalization as well, regardless of their age. So
That's
that
the
is,
part that gets me, Maria. That's the reason why you and I are doing business together. And that's the reason why this is important to me, because if I can gift that to my children going forward, then they won't ever have to go through the process that I'm going through to become naturalized as a dual citizen. So that's what's important to me, folks.
yeah, and I have to say it's important to most of my clients because it's interesting you mentioned before preppers and doomsdayers. I do have clients who come under that category, but their kids somehow don't buy it. Well, the beauty of this is that they can naturalize their kids without their consent or knowledge. Just the fact that they're citizens, they can, because they're parents, naturalize their kids. So if ever, the children wake up and say, okay, well, this is something I want to do, they have the status. Same for kids. If the kids wanted to become citizens, they could do it with or without the parents' knowledge. It's just something that you are entitled to. So I think, and how do you think I did it? My parents had
Yeah.
no idea.
That's because
Oh,
I couldn't get you to adopt me. If you would just adopt me, then I would already be there. So we have one more slide, folks, with Maria, and then we'll get back to our rapid fire Q&A. So Maria, if you want to wrap it up and then tell people more importantly how to get a hold of you as this video gets rolled out online and people become more interested.
okay, well, you talked about the benefits already, the asset protection, the relief from foreign taxes, because taxes in the Dominican Republic are mostly, territorial. You also save on the cost of residency renewal, and of course, the fact that your offspring is entitled to the status if you are naturalized, and the process takes approximately 6 to 8 months. You can reach me through my website, www.abruimmigration.com. I don't know if you provide that, Shawn. If
I
you
can
would
do it.
provide the if you would provide the contact information.
www. dot
abruimmigration.com.
Oh gosh, I can't type immigration.com. Does
Well,
that look
well,
right?
that's the website, and you can through our contact page send us an email. Okay, and so I
Yep.
look forward to speaking with any of you who are interested in exploring this option.
Definitely. Yep. We're going to get back to Q&A here in just a second, guys. They're blowing up my chat box here. So in the meantime, before we switch gears, does anyone have any questions for Maria regarding this? Or you can also reach out to her through the website. Give them just a second here. Maria, thank you for taking time to do that. You know how important that is for me, Maria.
Absolutely, I'm glad to
I'm
be here.
I'm a big proponent of freedom and freedom to choose and having those choices. All right, looks like we have no follow-ups on that, so I will talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, you got it. It was a pleasure.
See you.
Bye.
All right, so wow, that was cool. We've been wanting to do that for a long time, Seth, so I'm glad we got it accomplished this time. So let's jump back into Q&A. Bill wanted you to elaborate on your target ACOS. So if you could just, he's wanting to confirm that your target ACOS is at break even to start. Is that true, Seth?
Yeah, that's true. And Bill, we like to keep it there. So if our profit margin is 30% and our ACOS is 5%, well, we'll just keep raising our bids. Sometimes, you just can't produce enough, you can't bid enough to where it goes over your profit margin, and that's the best situation. But you'll get as much traffic as you possibly can out of your ads, and that's what we're after. So, yep, that's what we target to begin with, and we maintain the break-even target as we go.
Good question, Bill. Thank you. So Matt asked, what are your thoughts on possible Trump-China tax? For me, Matt, I never really get too excited about things that may or may never come to pass, either good or bad. And in my career, because I'm flexible and I keep all the doors open, it seems to me like anytime something like this happens, that always presents a new opportunity for me as an entrepreneur. So I'm not worried about it. I think we'll make up for it somewhere else if it comes through. I think, also my personal opinion is Trump's not going to start this type of conversation or this war with China, just based on some knowledge that I have of the situation. So I'm not going to lose sleep over it, guys. I'm going to continue to rinse and repeat, continue to launch products. Everyone, if you don't know by now, 99.9% of my products come from China. I actually source a lot from China, and I teach other people how to source from China. So I love it, but if they close that door, then another door will open. Seth?
Yeah, I mean, just like what you were saying, I'm not worried about it at all. There's always ways to get done what you want to get done, so no sleep lost here.
Very good. So Dale Pollitt is on the call. Love that guy. Very great personality, good attitude. Bill is here. Alex from Canada. What's up, Canada? Let's see. We have Frank Gomez. Long time no see. My buddy, the surfer dude, Gaynor Green. This is cool. Jason Greenwood joining us again. Let's see here. Who else here do I know? Maria, of course. Paul. Thank you, Paul. Shane. Tracy Ellis. That's your insurance agent, isn't it, Seth?
Hey,
What's
Tracy.
up, Tracy? I need to talk to you about product liability insurance. And Wendy Rainey, also from Indiana. Hey, Wendy, I call Little Red. I won't embarrass you, buddy. All right, so Matt, thank you for reminding me, Matt. He also asked, do you guys do any wholesale or all private label? 100% of our business is private label, meaning that we don't actually purchase from other importers or wholesalers locally or abroad. Everything we do comes factory direct, so that it's completely customizable and, for many other benefits. We also, as a rule, folks, we never wholesale any of our products on the wholesale market, because if we did, then we could easily breed competition for ourselves on Amazon or otherwise. So as a rule, we never wholesale a product, and even if we dump some product, on the black market or something, we'll take our labels and our packaging off of it so that it doesn't have our name brand on it. So good question there, Matt. Alex says, "What's up, arthritis?" That's me, buddy. Got the gimp elbow going on. Um, Lisa, long time no hear. Have you ever had an intellectual property lawsuit or patent lawsuit filed against one of your products? Lisa, on Amazon, no. But, I've been in business since I was in high school, over 20 years. So I have had intellectual property lawsuits and patent lawsuits, trade dress lawsuits filed on me. So yes, but not on Amazon. Hopefully, knock on wood, that's based on past experience. So something you have to keep in mind, but at the end of the day, don't let it ruin any opportunity that you think you might have. Do your quick due diligence, and at quick, fast hurry, we're all about getting things done in a hurry, obviously not waiting around on something bad to happen. So thanks for bringing that up. Gaynor says the threat of potential tax issues may make some Chinese suppliers more competitive in pricing. Good call there, Gaynor. Thanks for the input there. Let's see. Lisa says, do you have any philosophy about those filings? Real quick, Lisa, I'm the furthest thing from an attorney. As a matter of fact, it's one of the people that I dislike more than anyone else as far as profession goes. We have to deal with them. It's a necessary evil, just like Maria, my friend that was on the line. Um, for me, the most effective way to, especially depends obviously on who's filing the lawsuit, but in a nutshell, it kind of goes like this: receive the lawsuit, make sure it's viable and that it's legit. If it is, my biggest defense has always been to countersue against that person bringing suit for whatever reason, and then try to negotiate, because no one ever wins when you go to court except for, of course, the attorneys, the bloodsuckers, also known as. So hopefully that helps. Paul says, great point. Chris Johnston, thank you. This is your first open Q&A, so he's one of our new members, Seth, for the Insiders Roundtable. So Chris asks, what are the metrics that a buyer of an Amazon business wants? Can you give specific time frames for maturity, margins, profits, etc.? Great subject, Chris. I'm glad you brought that up. Do you understand the question, Seth?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so Seth deals with these acquisitions and these due diligence for potential Amazon brand buyers all the time. So hopefully he can shed some light on that for you. So go for it, Seth.
Yeah, I can touch on it real quick. So um, obviously, the older the business, the better because now there's a more proven track record. So if your business was 10 years old and still growing strong, your business is going to be worth a lot more than a business that's 6 months old normally. But that being said, just kind of the youngest business somebody is looking for is a business that's 12 months or older. If you can get to the 2-year mark, it's a lot easier. Um, so that's as far as the time frame. Margins and profit. Well, normally, we have never had a discussion where somebody said, well, your margins are too low or your margins are too high or anything like that. Normally, it's just a multiple of your annualized profit. So the trailing 12 months, how much profit did you make? And we're going to assign a multiple to it. In our industry, generally you can probably bank on between 2 and 5 times earnings, depending on the size of your business and your track record and some of the other channels that you built out. The et cetera part, well, anything that you can do to limit your risk in your business as far as channels, product diversification. So think about it from the buyer's perspective. If he has one product and he only has one channel, well, that business is pretty risky. So if you have 20 products and 3 different channels and they're spread out pretty evenly, well, that business, even if one channel dies and half the products go bad, there's still a business there. So everything that you can do to make sure that the business is more stable as far as the timing, the margins and channels and your sources as well. So they always ask us, well, how many sources do you have for this product? What happens if our manufacturing decides that they don't want to sell to us anymore? A backup manufacturer is good. I mean, there's an entire list. We could do an entire podcast or webinar in this case on what to do to prep your business for sale. But those are just some of the key metrics that you should be thinking about as you build your business, so then it's easier to sell later. Shawn?
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I think we should do an entire webinar about that, because it's a subject that if you're not thinking about it already, you should be. Otherwise, you're just building yourself a job, not an asset. So our whole business model has been to build brands on Amazon, create an asset that's sellable and easily transferable to someone else. And one of the things I like to tell people when we discuss this is, put yourself in the buyer's shoes. What would it take for you? What would it take as far as data or processes or the assets or intellectual property that conveys with the business? What would it take to make you comfortable as a buyer in that transaction? And if you put yourselves in the buyer's shoes, then you can answer those questions a lot more easily. So, we talk about it all the time. People come to us about businesses, and I'm like, well, if I were them, I wouldn't even do this based on the knowledge that they have. Based on the knowledge that we have, obviously, we know it's a great investment. So the idea is to clear the smoke and kind of pave the road for them to feel comfortable forking over their money, or the bank forking over the money for the loan, depending on the size of the deal, and the onboarding process of bringing on new people to take over the business and run it going forward has to be super laid down simple for them. We have heard rumors in recent history, which I'm checking out for you guys, We actually keep a Rolodex of business brokers who specialize in selling e-commerce businesses. So when the time comes, based on the size of your business and the age of your business and many other metrics, as you know, we can make that recommendation for you and introduce you to a possible broker. But we were just introduced to one recently who will take a business as little as 9 months of financial data. 9 to 12 months is okay, more the better, of course, and as small as $2,500 per month in net revenue, net profits. 2,500 per month minimum, 9-month age minimum on financial bookkeeping, and they're claiming they can get 2.5 times trailing 12 months profit and sell your business in 2 weeks or less, or they'll cancel the contract and you won't be locked in for a brokerage. So to me, that's pretty compelling. We're in the process of checking it out as we speak, and if we decide to make that resource available to you in the future, you'll know about it. So Matt has a follow-up here. Do you guys have your own website for your products or other platforms, or strictly Amazon? It seems as all are suggesting to grow other channels. Good question, Matt. That's for you, Seth.
So we have our own website built out for every one of our products. So we have some place to capture emails. We have some place to drive our customers back to. When we can diversify off of Amazon, your business is more stable. And now if Amazon turns you off, because they can, you still have a sales channel. So you can expand into many other categories. Shawn and I have done a lot of sales on Groupon and Living Social in the past. We're just dipping our toes into Walmart and Jet. So there's tons of ways that you can diversify. The first is easiest and easiest would be just building out more products on Amazon. I remember that we were at this conference one time and a guy said, "Oh my gosh, my product just got turned off. My whole business is dead." And I was like, "Well, is that your only product?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's all I had." Well, if you had a couple more products, you would have been fine. So make it easy on yourself. Start there, and then grow as you learn, and just have those things in mind as you're growing your business.
I have your extra questions in email here too, Chris. We'll jump into those real quick, and I want to try to wrap this up within the next 15 minutes. But one thing that we've noticed by far, and of course our business model is a little more stressful than most. We're all about adding products and growing fast, quick, fast, hurry, not slow, boring, and lame. That's our counterpart, slow, boring, and lame. But that's a sister company. We should come up with that one for the engineers that we sit next to at the conferences who do nothing. Probably got an engineer on the call. So anyway, Chris says, when should we use market viability testing? Do you use this every single time? Emphasis on every. Give examples when it would be necessary. So market viability testing. The biggest thing here, Chris, for me, and I sound like a broken record to myself, but maybe you guys, Chris says our knockoff, slow, boring, and lame. Thanks, Chris. Basically, we can be boring and lame, damn it, but we're never going to be slow. So market viability testing. I tell people all the time, Chris, that I never let software or machines dictate what it is that we're going to sell. I don't care how good it looks on Jungle Kitty, also known as Jungle Scout. But for me, I do our own product viability testing, and I think we just talked about this with you yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But I start off of Amazon when I come up with new product ideas, and I try to check that viability based on looking at the size of the market. Because I don't care what you have as far as a better mousetrap or anything, if the market doesn't exist, then there's no buyers out there waiting in line to buy your product. And no buyers equals no sales equals no money. So I don't do it every time. I always say that it's more of an art than it is a science. When you've been doing this as long as I have, things just stick out. You just know if it's going to be a winner. And of course, when you have a loser, you never brag about it, right, Seth?
Right, yeah. You never hear about those.
Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So Chris says, on videos in China, you were purchasing regular items, not seemingly hot and trendy. Can you give an example how commodity-type products should be a part of our product selection? Absolutely. When everyone else is looking at small, lightweight products that are easy to ship, to fit in your pocket, and have a 10,000% profit margin, we're looking at products that are heavy and hard to ship and have a 200 or 300% margin or markup, however you want to look at it. And what we find in doing that is that the market exists. It may not be as big as the iPhone cable charging market, which is huge because obviously there's millions and millions and millions of phones out there that need charged. But if the market's there and it's not being served, then I would also call that a hungry crowd in that scenario because they're not being able to buy the product that they want. And if we're there to fulfill that need, like regular everyday products, think dumb stuff like door stops and fly swatters. I mean, no moving parts, no technology, no software, no patents, and no trademarks. That's the type of stuff he's talking about. So hopefully that sheds a little light on that. Chris also says, are all of your launches generic launches? What do you consider an acceptable test margin, test quantity, lead time, etc., for it to be a go for you? Go for it, Seth. I have to grab a drink.
So we used to buy between 500 and 1,000 units every single time for every product that we would launch, and they were all generic. But now since we have started going into these more obscure markets with larger ticket prices and bigger items, we don't want to get a product that is a slow mover where we have 1,000 pieces and we're getting charged these ridiculous storage fees. So we might test 50 or 100 units on something like that. It kind of depends on the size of the product, how much the product costs, and how competitive the market is. If you're going to go sell sleep masks, well, the top guy is probably selling 400 per day, so you're going to have to buy quite a few to even get a good start. But if you're going to buy speed bumps, you might only have to buy 50 to see if it's viable. So it really depends on the market and the product. Shawn, you got anything else?
No, I don't know. I didn't hear you, but I'm sure you covered it because we talk about it all the time. At what point do you design packaging and inserts? That's his last question.
So what we do is once we prove that those initial units are going to be easily sellable, and then we like that market, and we get good feedback on the product through the reviews and through seller feedback and our messages that we don't need to make drastic changes. We'll go ahead, place a reorder, design the packaging, and design all the inserts, and really kind of invest in that business as soon as that first initial batch has started to move through maybe half, or at least we've gotten feedback from the customers saying that they enjoy the product, and we've gotten good response from the market that we haven't spent a ton of money on ads with no return or something like that. So as soon as the market proves viable, we'll start building on our packaging, our inserts, our website, everything. Shawn.
Yes, sir. You caught me messing around here. I was trying to look at some more questions. So let's see here. We're going to do the question box real quick, and we're going to wrap this up in 9 minutes. So Matt says, what is that criteria of size of market? There's not like a specific number or a target that I'm looking for, Matt. I just need to prove to myself, and my theory is true, that a market exists. I use tools like Google Trends or tools like, give me an example we talk about, Seth. I go out to a lot of like trade shows, state fairs, and things like that. And imagine, this feels so weird because I feel like I talk about it all the time, so I think everyone here already knows, but maybe you don't. So basically, I'll go into, like, say, a trade fair or a home show or something that they have at the local state fairgrounds or convention center, and the only thing I'm really looking for is a crowd. So anytime you're walking, you're looking up and down the aisles. I don't care if it's a supermarket, a mall kiosk, or a home show or a gift and hobby show. Anytime you see a crowd of people gathering around a product and buying it, for me, that's social proof that a market exists. And a lot of times people are all inspired and wowed over a product, and they may have just launched it 2 or 3 days beforehand. So when I capture something like that, it's a real winner for us when we take it mainstream on something like Amazon and all of a sudden make that product available. Like our bedding product set that we've been selling for several years, that was actually discovered at a home show. And we were one of the first 2 people, or maybe the 3rd person at the most, to bring it to Amazon. And now that business is hundreds of millions of dollars a year on Amazon. But what would happen inevitably was Saturday and Sunday, when the guys were out doing their super promos at state fairs and home shows, we would get all of our sales because lazy people like me are walking through the market and they're like, well, I want that product, but I don't want to carry it all day. I just order it on my phone and boom, we got the sales. So you need to find a product like that. I never go to Amazon looking for a product opportunity. I only go to Amazon to validate my questions or my ideas or thoughts about a product. Hopefully that makes sense, Matt.
Shawn, just to
So Matt
specify, you
also,
said that we do hundreds of millions of dollars in
no, no, no,
betting
no.
product. Yeah. So,
No. I'm saying that one particular item in the one category, overall, if you look at all the sellers on Amazon, is hundreds of millions right now. Because, I mean, we own a good portion of that
right,
market and we're not the biggest, but,
right.
you seem to pay a lot more attention to your competition than the other guys, right? So, yeah, if we did hundreds of millions of dollars, we'd probably, we'd have what, 10,000 products on Amazon instead of 500?
Right.
Where are we at? 500 now? Somewhere around 450 to 500? Who knows?
About 450.
450, okay. So, Shawn, using the speed bumps as an example, how in the world did you pick that? He just set himself up for that one, didn't he? All right, so true story, guys. I'm walking through one of the markets that I like to share in China, and we had a group of people. I think we had 80 people in that group, and a couple of people the day before were complaining a little bit, like, "Oh, poor me," like the Eeyore syndrome, I call it. Oh boy, I can't find anything to sell. You know what I'm talking about, right, Seth? And
Hmm.
so I'm thinking, man, this is ridiculous because when I look around, I have, I'm same opportunities, same time of day, same market, same people, same tools for selling, and we're all exposed to the same information. And I look at the market totally different than the next guy because I feel like I'm literally drowning, like there's waterfalls of opportunity all around me. And I was walking through an aisle. That's a bad analogy?
It's
So
hilarious.
I'm walking through this aisle. I mean, I really see it that way. You know how I am, Seth. I come back with like 10,000 ideas, and my reach always exceeds my grasp. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, it seems like it.
So basically, I'm walking through an aisle and I'm looking at product, and all of a sudden I trip over something, which is normal in China because, everywhere you look, it looks like they're building a mess. And I look down and it's a speed bump. So I looked at that, and I thought, man, wouldn't this be cool if I actually source this product and sell it on Amazon? Then I can tell all these people, look, guys, I literally tripped over an opportunity. So it's not me. You're just blind or stupid or slow or something. So that's how the product came about, Matt. You asked for it, buddy, but you got it. That's real. Um, Here we go. This is going to be the last question, guys. So once we do this, we're going to sign off because we have another webinar to do in a little bit. So you mentioned you have your own warehouse. It's strictly for cost savings and FBA prep and storage cost at your scale, or is there special capabilities in having your own warehouse? Seth?
So we do use it for cost savings and FBA storage and our prep and everything, but we also use it for those situations where you can't use FBA. A warehouse of your own built out is good for all of those channels that aren't really that compatible with FBA. So for instance, when we were taking tons of orders on Groupon and Living Social, we were processing those out of our own warehouse because FBA is too slow with their tracking information. So we couldn't literally function on Living Social using FBA. Walmart.com requires that you can do your own fulfillment. So those are some of the areas that you can grow with your own warehousing. Also, Amazon is not really wanting to store your products. That's why they're offering Merchant Prime and they're giving some special features to those guys who can do their own fulfillment. So we decided to invest in a couple warehouses now, and I think it's a smart play for the future on any e-commerce business.
Yeah, good point. And this is coming, guys, from a guy that used to say, "Look, we do 100% FBA. Let Amazon handle all the headache of the inventory and all that." But you're talking 2.5, 3 years ago, when warehousing was a third of what it costs now at Amazon. So the other reason for Seth, at a certain point, we had a warehouse over here and an office over here, and this guy working from home, and just kind of got a little bit scattered. So it made sense to bring everything back in house, to get to gain control and have hands-on people and processes, and like you said, opens up more doors for fulfillment and things like that. and also cost savings. As a matter of fact, the very first warehouse that we purchased after, last time I sold a commercial building, I swore I'd never buy another one. But Seth basically said, look, this building, I mean, it's a simple building. It wasn't built out for office or anything. It's going to cost us $100,000, and it's going to save us 450 grand in storage alone this year. To me, that was a no-brainer. So
Mm-hmm.
anytime you can throw a $100 bill in a slot machine and take $450 out, you ought to go for it, right?
Right.
Yep.
And,
So,
and
all
you own
right.
that asset going forward, so it's not like you're just burning the money. I mean, you own the warehousing and the real estate, and any time that we want to, we could sell that off. So it's a good investment for cost savings as well as opportunities. So, Sean,
Yep, exactly. So first of all, I want to tell everybody Merry Christmas, and never forget that Jesus is the reason for the season. It's fun to talk about Santa Claus and giving and getting gifts, but at the end of the day, it's about the birth of Jesus Christ. Never forget that. I want to say God bless you all, your families, and your business. Thank you for sharing a few minutes or an hour with us this evening. Seth and I love to open up the doors to our business and share whatever's working for us. We hope that you all can outgrow us someday and share opportunity and insight to your business with us. And watch your email box, because we're going to do this. We're trying to do an open Q&A once a month. And if you're not on our list and you found it some other way, you can find it at quickfasthurry.com. I don't really have anything else to add. Seth, do you?
nope, I think you covered it pretty well, Sean. So I guess we'll see you guys on the next Open Q&A probably in a few weeks.
Perfect. Take care, everyone. See you later.